Hello. Welcome to the second episode of our column entitled In Drawing By. I have decided to talk to you about the work of an artist that I love very much, who very often is not well known. This artist is called Alberto Giacometti. He is an artist who has practiced both painting and sculpture and drawing. We know him above all as a painter-sculptor, but his graphic work, and therefore the part relating to drawing, is extremely interesting because it has strong recognizable signs. For Giacometti, drawing is not only the representation of external reality, therefore of what we see, but it is decidedly more an internal representation of the emotion, of the artist's emotionality in front of this subject. Drawing is almost a mania for him. This artist doesn't only draw in the atelier or in the moments dedicated to his artistic activity, but he always draws. He draws in a taxi, he draws while eating, he draws while sitting at a table in a bar. He doesn't draw on drawing sheets or in any case precious sheets, he draws on any surface and it's within easy reach. This is also an extremely interesting aspect because I wanted to take you through the observation of Giacometti's work to carry out an exercise that is very useful for you to improve your graphic sign. And even a little bit to lose that awe we have in front of an immaculate white sheet on which we must necessarily produce an amazing work of art. That's not the case. In fact, for this exercise I suggest you choose at-home sheets intended to be thrown in the trash. For example, sheets on which you have already written something, or badly printed sheets, paper of any kind that you are about to throw away. Use those cards to draw. This will also serve to decrease anxiety or in any case the agitation in front of a surface on which one has to draw. The characterizing element of Giacometti's work, as we said before, is the line. Why? Because this line is continuous, it is repeated, it is tormented, it is scribbled. It is made with very simple tools, so for example pencils or inks or a simple Bic pen. We will use a Bic pen for this exercise, because it is a material that produces an inerasable sign. This is also absolutely helpful for those who are afraid to draw lines. But at this moment they will be forced to go a little further decided without fear because it cannot erase. The pen will produce an absolutely fast mark, almost as if it dwells on some details and omits others. The drawing will absolutely be an expressive drawing. That will absolutely not have the intention of producing a faithful copy of reality. It will produce an elaborate, a drawing within which there is a temperament, there is an emotion, there is the need to express something of oneself. Therefore, if you want to go ahead, to follow the practical part, simply equip yourself with a Bic pen. Alternatively, use any pen you can find at home, a recovery sheet as we have said, and choose a subject. It doesn't have to be a high subject, you don't have to pay particular attention to the type of subject you will choose. It's perfectly fine choosing a corner of the house where some objects have been accumulated. Some tools or objects placed in a certain position by chance. You can either approach this composition from real life and place yourself with your sheet of paper in front of it, or take a photograph by choosing an interesting compositional cut as you find in the written description of this video, and then print the photo and work by copying from the image. I believe that this exercise can reveal something about you and your sign that you don't even know. Don't underestimate the very usefulness that this type of exercise has for improving your sign and making it more expressive. So let's now come to the practical part of this lesson and let's really put into practice everything we said about the style of this artist. As we said, we will use a very simple tool which is a black Bic pen. It could also be of another color if you prefer. The photograph of a subject or the real subject seen in real life that we have selected as a series of objects placed in an almost random position. For example, if it was simply a glimpse, a detail that we see of reality without paying particular attention to the type of subject. Therefore, in this case, I have photographed a series of random objects arranged in a fairly regular way. A series of fruit, vegetables, some three-dimensional elements such as a bottle and some books. It is not important that the subject is a highly known subject or a figurative subject. They can simply be a series of objects. However, remember that Giacometti was also very involved in the drawing of the figures. Therefore, the portraiture also in these drawings, see for example in this one where he portrays the mother. The fundamental characteristic is always the graphic sign. We recall that the graphic sign that characterizes Giacometti's work is a linear sign, continuous, therefore without ever taking the pen off the paper, and it can be done both in pen and ink but also in pencil. These, for example, are expression of compositions of nature and death, so of simple objects. The object is always recognizable, it is obviously not an abstraction. However, the sign is so important within the work that it is then the real protagonist even before the identification of the subject that is going to be portrayed. This is a really important exercise for those who are preparing to draw, because it really helps us understand how to manage this graphic sign. For example, we usually worry about building a straight lines. Here we are absolutely not interested in creating a straight line. What interests us is almost to create a plot, that is a series of messes, of scribbles, which can still give the idea of the formal construction, therefore of the three-dimensionality of our object. So to set up this drawing we will not start in a traditional, academic way, with proportions or depth, perspectives. Instead we will try to work in a completely intuitive way. Therefore we will only read the fundamental elements and go from one object to another without almost ever detaching the pen from paper, okay? I would start setting up this composition, for example, from the support surface where I intend to create a simple horizontal line, repeated many times. I can decide to intensify it maybe in some parts. After which, I can for example imagine then build, maybe a three-dimensionality. So I don't focus on the straight lines, on the precision of the lines I'm making. I let the gestural expressiveness of the sign act as the protagonist. So we can set a kind of depth even with quick signs of our pen. And then we begin to read what are the main forms by searching intuitively. Therefore without taking any proportion of setting the elements we see. We can trace an axis of symmetry of our bottle because we see that the constructions are sometimes reported almost as if they were part of the figure. And then we let ourselves go to what are the main shapes that we see. So what has to come out is the soul, the essential feature. For example, we can intensify the signs as if they were scribbles to highlight a certain part of chiaroscuro and repeat. Then go back on the lines, on the subjects until they seem satisfactory to us. The big pen has the characteristic of being able to create even very light marks. If you don't put a lot of pressure, and instead work fast by going back and forth, you can notice how the marks can look almost similar to those of a pencil. Go over many times, that is, try to go in search of a plot and not a single line that describes the shape. We are absolutely not interested in correctness and therefore in absolute resemblance to the subject. We only have to learn through this exercise to improve our signability, so we have to let the hand go freely in the repetition of the signs to get almost a chaotic effect. so beyond the execution of the result of our drawing. The repetition of an exercise like this can help us to significantly improve our graphic sign. The important thing is not to be afraid. That is, we must not be afraid of making mistakes. We really don't care. We have to let go. Let's go and build, for example, the aces of this elliptical saucer. And then the shapes. I recommend you don't try to arrive at the definition of the shapes in this way, for small stretches, in a hesitant way. But just go and work entirely on trying to define it with a single sign, right? Go over it. Above all, have fun. Just get rid of all fears that you can have in the drawing approach. I'm going to define all the shapes. You see, I also build the forms without interrupting them, even if one overlaps the other. I am not interested. And then we don't stop at the simply construction of the subject. Let's try to intervene, as you can see in this image, also on the details of the background. If you really want to differentiate the sign you used in the subject compared to the sign you use in the background, try what I told you before, i.e. hold the pencil and the cutting pen, and try to distribute, you see, a lower pressure in order to obtain lighter marks. Move the whole arm, not just the fingers. Try to move fast to build a fund. Let yourself be carried away a little, so if you feel that some parts of your drawing still need some detail, go add it. When it seems to you that it is enough, change the sheet and try to do it again. When you then return after these exercises to hold the pencil and instead resume a more traditional, more academic drawing, you will notice how this type of exercise will have been very useful for you to improve precisely the confidence and also the style. The strength of your graphic sign. When you think that's enough, stop. This is the outcome you could get with your exercises. If you are particularly interested in drawing and have already gained experience with the human figure, then I advise you to also consider figurative subjects. This is because through this type of lines, you can obtain portraits, very expressive and very interesting ones. Well, good job. Now try to carry out the exercise and leave a comment about your experience. Soon we will publish a video course to learn how to draw. Tell us what you think in the comments. We really appreciate your feedback. If you are interested in this column dedicated to artists' drawings, like the video and you would promote the creation of others, subscribe to this YouTube channel of the Il Cerchio di Giotto or visit our blog or Facebook page. In the next video of this column we will deal with a completely different theme and we will enter the graphic work of Paul Picasso. Goodbye, and see you soon.